The idea of preserving human memory and experience, playing a role in keeping us honest, making sure that justice is done and people are accountable, is an important comprehension in dealing with Gaza. I don't know how far gone it will be when records start being erased and forbidden access. If you're attentive and have a memory about like mine, you remember early in the genocide, there were images of Japanese children, particularly a little girl, looking in shock and awe at the destruction of toddlers throughout Palestine. And the effect this was having on children was noted, but brushed aside by the dacoity in the Biden media. There's a song by Genesis called White Mountain that braves only the king sees the crown of the gods, and he the usurper must die. There are those who will say that preserving the memory of Nosferatu's abomination are usurping the crown of the gods, and only the Zionists are entitled to laugh, much less memorialize the truth of the matter. There's a scene in a film called Planet of the Apes where Charlton Heston comes across a buried Statue of Liberty and sees the truth of where he is and says, "Damn you all to hell." There's a book by Ayn Rand in which a dusty manuscript is blown off and it has the forbidden word of the personal pronoun, identifying the individual as significant and important. Of course, there's the time traveler with the museum of the past, that he sees how knowledge has been abandoned. These kinds of themes recur again and again. Ironically, the Simon Wiesenthal Center was a place to preserve the memory of the Jewish Holocaust, just as the Han Rajab Foundation is preserving memory of the decimation of the toddlers of Gaza. But in preserving memory, it's important also to know what is what. The reason why I know what the sandbaggers are, because I was attacked young and brutally by the Zionists in Pittsburgh, and subject to many indecencies and attacks on my character and reputation. So it's not unusual for me to attempt to understand what happened. Long before the abomination broke out in Gaza, I was attempting to understand who Gail Burston was and why so much activity surrounding the AIDS attack was a drama club out of the school that produced Godspell and tied to these papers of espionage that the federal government was refusing to address, leaving the perpetrators at large. Of course, Chomsky and Norm Finkelstein knew all about it. I told Chomsky in the 90s, and he chose the right to remain silent, snickering in sandbags, as so many of the alternative media people are. Nosferatu's Gail Burston assigned me through the forces seeking to destroy our public school systems, which included a mathematics teacher named Mr. McIntosh. That was then, This Is Now was recommended reading. Think about that. That was then, this is now. She used to say that the reason why I was attacked was because I was weak. This is Nosferatu's reasoning, and serves for him as a vindication of his alliance in Germany. The weak get genocided, he says to the Congress, of clapping seals. We win, they lose. Pretty sick mind at work. What is the moral of that was then, this is now? The moral of that was then, this is now is I wanted to be sure that I hated you. What that means is no matter what the dacoit and agent notice that you have Gallant and Biden were given their walkie papers on the same day, that's because they're co-designees, they're partners, they're agents of the same Nosferatu cluck, the same index. It's not a conspiracy, it's an index. Miles Kirshner has the name of Nosferatu's real name, Milovich, and his last name Kirshner is like Kushner. And he was behind the drug pushing and the chattel slavery in Pittsburgh as a law school student at Pitt for the Federal Emergency Management Agency. His presence when Reagan pretended to be shot proves the lie of the game, that it was all a Houdini, Hollywood espionage from Pentagon Disney, a put on by Clint Eastwood's forces, claiming they're not that slick, when in reality that's exactly how slick they are.